Hey, I'm Todd. Thanks for watching my video and do all that good YouTube stuff. Share it, like it, hit the notification bell, thumbs up, subscribe, all the things that you do. Thanks for taking the time to watch my video and saving some money perhaps. I also invite you to check out the links in the description for some long-term savings with the stock market and checking out the links for either E-Trade or M1 where you can save and trade fractional stocks, or Webull, which is usually giving away a couple free stocks for just depositing $100. So I strongly invite you to invest in your future and check them out. Thanks, and let's get to the video. Heater core replacement if I make it all the way on a 2003 GMC Sierra Diesel pickup truck, center console. I think if your center console looks like this will probably work for you. Kind of taking it apart, I guess. Power seats. And that's what we got. Push down on the connectors to release on both sides. Got a guide pin here, guide pin over there as well. Got two nuts holding the seat in place in the front, two bolts in the back. Different sizes. Thank you, Chevrolet. And for me, it's been an E16 in the back for the bolts, and the nuts in the front are an E20. So two nuts in the front on each side is the E20. So to get to the bolts and the nuts, leave the battery connected for now and put the seat all the way back or all the way forward, depending on which bolt you want to get. Nuts in the front, put the seat all the way back. Bolts in the back, put the seats all the way front. May or may not have covers over them. Just a friction fit in there. Actually came off over there for that one. Another cover, but they just kind of clip on. So if you see these in here, they just kind of pop off. All friction fits. Somewhere here, somewhere not. Disconnect it, then you slide the seat backwards. The ones in the back are forked, and these are solid circles. I'll go back and show you on the assembly. And then it's just a matter of taking out two 10mm bolts, one on each side in here. Once this is removed, which is just friction fits, just got to pull it off firmly. Here's the back. A couple guide pins. Disconnect your outlets. I guess squeeze and release. Didn't really have to take this out, I guess. Here's my 10mm bolts. It's a drink holder, just pulls up and out. This bezel also comes off. Pins, guide pins, just pulls off. So there's your 10mm bolts. And yeah, inside connector right in here. I'll show you how that works. Jump back here. Here's the notches you can see, and the slots. I guess the slots are up front. Anyway, you can figure it out. You need to slide this back once the 10mm bolts are out. Here's your connectors. Again, you're just pushing down to release. Down here is your connector. This just rotates to set it free. This is in the open position. Once you push it back together, this lever is going to flip over. Maybe I'll show it to you when I'm putting it back together. So you got to flip this lever backwards. It'll be over here, and flip it this way. So this is now out and forward. All right, take these side panels off. Easy, just a friction fit. You're going to find that on most of the things here. And I think I needed to take this off on the side in here, on both sides. Over there, I believe I did. And that is that. And this goes here, like that. So this pulls up, again, just all friction fits. You'll often find things missing over time. So just pull up on this, it'll come off. Both sides are the same. This slides out this way. And on both sides, this one just bent up, it got caught up inside, so I wouldn't just keep pulling on it, I guess. It's supposed to look more like that. That one's no problem, but this lower one, and both sides were like that, fitting in these holes. Lower bolster, guide hole pins up here, holes, guide pin friction fit, guide pin friction fit, clips missing, imagine that, and two 8mm or 7mm bolts, one here, right down here, and over there. I'm going to take the shield off because we'll probably be dropping the steering wheel, so 10mm bolts for the shield. Yeah, and then we'll keep going. So you need to disconnect all these at some point, and they're all just push the tab and release as well. They'll kind of fit in their own little spot.
Make sure you slide it around first.
Pull this out here because this wire is not going to go with. Airbag connector. Pull this orange piece out first, and then you can push the tab. I needed a screwdriver to push on the tab, but just push it and release from here. So we're pretty free here. Some are going to stay, and some are going to go. So, all right, next. So there might be some videos out there where they're tipping the dash instead of taking it all the way out, so I don't know how many videos you have been watching, but yeah. So this goes into the door for all the power stuff, so I disconnected it. A little retainer right here, plugs in. Again, we're just squeezing and removing the tang there, plugs in there. So we'll see where else things go. Oh, that one. Looks like this one needs to come out too. We'll disconnect it from here and pull it out. Tabs right here. It's kind of doubled up there. That's a little tricky. So I'm not sure. Actually, I'm just kind of winging it here. All right, moving on. I did take out the 215. Well, two of the 1.5. That one's really loose. 15mm. One up there's gone, as you can see. And there's two 10mm bolts there. Nuts. 10mm nuts. Two Phillips screws over here as well, probably on the other side to take out. Okay, yeah. Take the screws out for this around here. Just follow it around and take the 7mm screws out. And we'll go ahead and take out the bar there. As you saw, we pulled the vents out. That's all about. Something here. Oh, right in there. Anywho, there's a white tab up here. We're going to push it to the left to release the rod there. And also over here. Right there. Just going to push that inward. Push it that way. It'll release the bar. We'll take the Phillips screws out. There's one in each vent hole, then there's 2 more screws on the other side, just like there was on the left. Taking Phillips screws out.
I mean, and screwed it, no mess or anything, just it's there. How can it not be full? And even, I mean, it comes with the top. There's even old rail from turbo. Just, makes sense, you're right. Some kind of suction or something?
Taking those pieces out because they interlock with the upper instrument panel cover. Both on the same on both sides, friction fit. Little interlocking tabs. Squeeze down. I was actually using a screwdriver in there and prying it down to get this off. We're sliding it backwards because there's slots near the windshield. There's slots that are like this, so you need to slide it out from underneath the slots. So you can unplug this or just turn and twist it out. Just like a quarter turn and it comes out. Alright, so for me this is supposed to be attached to the underside of the instrument panel still, because it was wedged in here. The slots we're talking about where you got to slide it out from. Looks like this one too didn't quite make it, maybe. I'm not sure how it all works. Maybe it's supposed to slide in there. No, I'll take this off. I'm sure this is supposed to be on the instrument panel. So both my side ones did not survive, but then we can take out 10mm bolt there. I think there's a 15mm bolt here, 15mm bolt here, 10mm bolt, 10mm bolt, and a 10mm bolt. I think the whole dash assembly will come forward then. So let's zing those bolts out. Just need probably a deep socket for those over there. So my truck has this computer below the steering column, and so it looks like I got a couple 7mm bolts here holding it on this side, and we'll have to remove this duct. There's a duct, there's a push pin right there. Remove that, and we can remove this duct. It'll just slide off. It's a friction fit, and then we can maybe drop this computer out of here. It's going to be a choice. Lots of people will just work around the steering column. Some people will take it out, so it's kind of a personal choice on your vehicle. I kind of think we can just drop it down. We'll see how it goes. Otherwise, there's 2 nuts and 5 nuts, 15mm nuts. One over here, one here, and there's 3 back there to take out. And besides disconnecting or connectors, steering column connector. Interesting. Doesn't go anywhere. Pull this lever. It looks like it's broken, like someone's been here before. It's kind of weird. Oh, it doesn't want to come out. Imagine that. Alright, so we're going to work on this duct here. And that's why we love aftermarket crap. They just tie it on things and then it gets in my way. So we'll need to cut some ties. So you get this off here, or maybe not, we'll just leave it laying. Then we can get our bolts for the bracket and the computer right down here. We'll drop this computer down. And there's the bolt also if you're taking the steering column out. I believe that's a 13mm bolt. Alright, so we'll drop that computer down. So if you want to disconnect it, I'm not sure if that plastic's working right, but if you push the wires over, there's a little tab in here. You might be able to push that tab over and then slide this whole assembly out, and then you can have it maybe in your hands, and yeah, and you can maybe disconnect it easier, since this doesn't seem to be disconnecting on its own. Oh wait. No, I thought there was maybe a bolt in here, but I'm not seeing a bolt. Sometimes they put a bolt in the middle, but I'm not seeing one. So I'm going to try and take that out and disconnect it in my hand. Got to disconnect this here, this yellow. Pull back on the tab to release. That's out. That's off already. There's a wire here too. Oh, look at that. Retainer just slides out of here. You can push down on this and release it, apparently. Nice. You pull this out here. It's a fork. And slide that out and collapse the two ends. Pull it through the hole. I will say that if you do take the steering column out, which I probably will be doing, you don't want this to spin freely, because there's what's called a clock spring in here most likely, and it'll break wires if it just spins freely. So maybe make some kind of little mark on here and just keep it in that mark area, but you don't want that spinning around, so secure it somehow perhaps. So this was difficult, but it just pulled out for me, and it was actually broken. This lever's broken. There's no tab on one side to hold it in place, so a couple guide pins in there. Just got this here, disconnect. So here's our wires for the steering column. For me, this was not connected to anything. This goes in the very back, I think, and then airbag and this. So we're good here, so we can take our bolts out. We'll disconnect this as well. It just pops off. Sorry. Probably can't do it holding the camera, but we're going to pinch this, and up on the top here as well. Going to pinch this, we're going to pinch them together so it'll slide out of the hole there. So that's what I'm doing. pinch both, and it'll slide out. There we go. And now we'll zip our 15 millimeter bolts out, and the 15 millimeter nuts for the steering column, and 13 millimeter bolt probably for the knuckle down below, which we talked about and looked at. Okay, so we have one nut left on here, and it is holding the steering column on is two 15 millimeter nuts, and there's two 15 millimeter nuts here. There's a third bolt up there, and we'll have to take that out for getting the dash out, I believe. And I've turned the steering column. So now the nut is pointing down, and we can disconnect that nut, 15 millimeter nut as well. I got one nut left holding the steering column up. Then once that nut and bolt are set up, or off of the shaft at the end, then we'll take that and pull the steering column out. Alright, I think we need to undo that, see there's two washers back there too. Undo this 13 millimeter nut as well, I believe. Alright, out. Alright, you got this bracket here and a shield. Probably just snaps off. Looks like it. A friction fit. Snapped around the pipe. And by the way, this was the bolt setup for the steering column at the shaft. Looks like a 13 millimeter bolt to undo. tricky. You gotta make sure the carpet's not in the way when you're pulling this out. You can actually take it out. Looks like it goes up here. And in here. So you could take it out, I believe. Another 13 millimeter bolt. Alright, so we got our 15 millimeter bolt, and in here, 15 millimeter bolt. So you just need an extension and a 15 millimeter, of course, and we'll zip that out. I'm leaving one 10 millimeter bolt in up there so this doesn't fall out. I don't think it will, but to be sure, disconnect your antenna right here. Yeah, these things can be tough on your knees. Watch out. Towels. Alright, this particular vehicle I'm working on is a diesel also for this heater core. So before you start the project, I'd recommend you go to your local shop that has ability to suck out Freon and hook up the machine and take your Freon out for you. Best policy. And we can take off these 13 millimeter nuts. You want to just be careful because there could be a little bit of pressure still built up. I've already disconnected them and it was not an issue, but you can cover them with a rag maybe as you pull them off. So we're going to disconnect these, and then we need to take off some nuts and bolts. So for example, here's a 10 millimeter nut you take off, 10 millimeter bolt back there, and there's a few other ones. I think this is a guide for the heater case assembly, so we're going to get this out of here. There's another nut behind it, so there's a black bracket down here and a connector. Disconnect it, pull up on the tab to release it. So we got another 10 millimeter, so that's part of the bracket. We can take that off, and just that one. I'm going to take all the 10 millimeter bolts, nuts you can see, take them off here. We'll get this out of the way and see what else we got. I'm hoping I don't have to take the battery out. It didn't say so, so probably not. Right, so we pulled it out of the way at least. So we got a 10 millimeter bolt there. And there's one further down there. Trust me. So we'll take those out, and then there's one or two over there, I believe. One might be tucked a little bit behind the engine there. We'll find it. You can see the other one tucked away here in the nice padding insulation. So you probably get that with a swivel and a 10 millimeter. I think I can get it like that. Otherwise, a 10 millimeter and a socket and 1/4-inch ratchet will get it out. So there. The last one might be behind the battery there. 10mm bolt. Those are my last two. And then we'll disconnect the heater hoses. Nice special tool needed. So a recommendation is maybe to cut the heater hoses, tubes inside the vehicle, then pull those out in the engine compartment. It makes it easier to work on and disconnect. Here's a special tool. Wraps around the pipe. You slide it in. It does take a bit of finger effort. And it goes in there, then you can release it. Because it's pushing on little plastic tabs. You can see in there, so this on the pipe will spread the tabs. And you can slide it off. But I will say it can be kind of a fight, so probably is best to cut the pipes, and you have your stubby pipe section, and then do it right out here in the open, nice and easy for you. But I thought I'd give it a shot doing it the more right way, and it worked out. So I got all my, I think 4 screws, 3 nuts out here. So I think we're ready to pull the dash back. Let's go ahead and take the lower cover off here too. Nice beauty cover trim. 7mm bolt, I believe. Right here. And one more, a little tricky, right in here. Probably get it with a deep 7mm socket, so we're going to take that off. Alright, so I'm not exactly how far the dash is coming out, but I might undo this main connector here, 7mm bolt in the middle, and then also the computer connector right here, 7mm bolt. So I might take that and that, at least loosen it up, and then we'll have some free play with the wiring. If it comes off farther than I think it needs to. Alright, I think it's out plenty far. Did have to disconnect the parking brake as a bolt right here. And also, I think for us, there was a couple connectors back here on the fuse box. Probably these two right here. I think these went to the fuse box. Junction box, I would say. Just push and release. Push and release. So I think that is everything there. Gonna get it secured here and over there. I think it's enough room. Connectors here as well. You may or may not have. And here's our box. We'll see if it'll wiggle out. Although I see it's actually hitting right there. And we'll see how it goes. Alright, I thought I got all the nuts up here, but I missed one nut. back here, it was covered up. Just like that. So there's that. So there's a bolt there, and then another nut here. So I'm going to be good to go then. Also on this diesel, I don't know if it's different, but there's a wiring harness right here that needs to pull through. I don't know if they want you to actually disconnect it from the fuse box. I'm certainly not going to do that, but so let me show you again what I've got then. Also for this vehicle, a 10 millimeter ground strap was here holding me from sliding it back. So you can kind of see in the background there the plug coming through for the wiring harness. So wiring harness, be aware of that. And then the ground strap will give you a little more freedom coming back this way. So that's what I got for you. So I got a block of wood here and a towel supporting the center. And I got the strap there, and I have this here. Bungee cords, maybe not really doing a whole lot though. So we'll get that 10 millimeter bolt, then we'll get that case out of there. All right, this was just in here. That just fits up in here. Trying to try and push that back on there. Sorry. Trim's just kind of coming off, but that's all right. We can push it back on. So you can get this out of the way if you want. This fits a deal, 10 millimeter. Otherwise, here we are. Access to our heater core. So these are 5.5 millimeter bolts. Little insulation. Remember to put this back on, probably. Might be glued on a little bit. So we'll pull this out. Heater core out.
Well, pork tacos.
Yeah, I'll have what Dan has.
2 meat breakfast burrito.
Yeah,
Okay, bacon and ham.
yeah. Heater core's out. So here is our new heater core. We got some pieces from GM, thank you very much. And we're just gonna duplicate what we saw on the old heater core onto the new one, as far as running tape around it. So that's the plan, then we'll reinstall it, the new one. This might help separate airflow for dual climate control, so we're going to put this in the same spot. There we go. It should be good. I think that's going to kind of butt up against the seam there in there. That's the plan anyway, I believe. We'll drop it down and put the cover on. 5mm bolts, slip this on, easy peasy. I'm considering loosening these brackets a little bit, both the metal bars on both sides, just so I have a little free play up and down on these. I guess there's a little bit right now, but I'd like to have it maybe be up a little bit to make it easier to get up over these. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 4 of them to get up and over, I guess, with 2 people. It's a good idea to have an assistant. It's a good idea to have an assistant help you with this, so but maybe loosening those off or even taking one off, I guess, would not be so bad. But something to think about, loosening these up so you have free play on both sides to get those bars up and over where they need to go. Right. Driver's side wiring. There's a cover here. For that thing right there, little stud there, fits through the hole. Looks like it's been broken already once, so that goes up there.